In this week's Parsha, Parshas VAYEILECH, very short Parsha, we read about the mitzvah of Hakel, in which the entire gamut of the Jewish people are told to come to Jerusalem, where they will hear the Torah be read, and everyone comes, men, women, and children. The question that is raised is, why is it so significant for children to come? According to many opinions, it even applied, the type of children it's referring to are even babies, children who have no ability to comprehend what's going on. Why is it a mitzvah for them to be there? So Rashi quotes the Gemara in Chagiga, and he says the reason that they're meant to come is to give reward to the ones who bring them. And the Gemara in Chagiga elaborates, and it says a really interesting story. The Gemara says that there was one time an incident with the great Rabbi Yogananda ben Broka and Rabbi Eliezer ben Chisma, that they went to greet the Rebbe, the holy Rebbe Yoshua. And Rabbi Yeshua asks them, and he says, "Tell me, what did you learn today in the Beis Medrash?" And they said, "Listen, we're your student. Anything we know, it's only because of you. So whatever we heard, you must have heard also. It's pointless for us to even tell you." He then tells them, despite that, "I want to know what you learned." And he says, who was teaching today? He says, it happened to be as Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was teaching. And he says, okay, Rabbi Yeshua says, so what did he tell you? So they respond, you know what? He told us about Hakel, this mitzvah of Hakel. And he said that there's this idea that the children would be brought. Why? Again, like what Rashi told us, quoting this Gemara, to bring reward to those who brought them. Rabbi Yeshua says, wow, you've given me this amazing pearl of wisdom that you had, and you didn't want to tell me? You wanted to withhold that from me? How could you possibly do that? I'm so delighted to hear this. And the Meshech Chochmah alludes to the question, and he basically asks, why was Rabbi Yeshua so excited by that nugget of wisdom? What excited him so much to hear this piece of wisdom that was expounded, that the young babies would be brought to Jerusalem to bring reward to those who brought them? And he mentions that there was a passage in the Yerushalmi Talmud in which we're told that when Rabbi Yeshua was a little baby, he was brought to the Beis Medrash. His mother brought him as a little baby to the study hall, and even though he could not comprehend, he would listen as a baby to the vibrant roar of the Torah learning, and his mother valued that so that it would come within him. He would just subconsciously absorb the holiness of the words of Torah. So the same Rabbi Yoshua, who experienced that as a child, experienced the greatness of that as a child, loved this idea that was told over that morning in the Beis Medrash by Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, how the young children would be brought to Jerusalem to bring reward to those who brought them. He enjoyed hearing how the young children would be brought, that they would have that experience that he had too when he was a baby, and he would be able to absorb all the greatness of the surrounding area. I think practically, perhaps, what we can take from this is this concept of experiential inspiration. That sometimes just by being in the right place, even if you're not fully understanding everything, it can really give a person a lasting impact. My oldest son recently began in yeshiva here in town, and he spends most of the nights home with us. And honestly, one of the reasons that we do that, we drive far, to bring him there, is selfishly so I can be there. I can be there in the yeshiva, absorbing the atmosphere, hearing the learning, hearing the davening. I can take part of that. It's had a tremendous impact on myself personally. Additionally, we're coming up here on Yom Kippur, and it's a long day. We don't always understand the piyutim, the poetry that is read, the service. It's long. We don't always get it. Sometimes we might ask ourselves, what are we doing here? But that experiential inspiration, just being there with our community members, hundreds of Jews who we don't necessarily always see, will be with us in synagogue. It's so valuable, it's so precious. That perhaps is the lesson we learn from the mitzvah of Hakel, why we bring young children to Jerusalem to experience it, to absorb it, like the great Rabbi Yeshua as a child, we too should tap into that and put ourselves in situations where we too can glean that inspiration. Have a beautiful Yom Kippur. We should all be written and sealed in the book of life.